What's up, everyone? It's Gurpreet Singh over here with the Africa Healing Foundation. I'm the Environment, Nutrition, as well as the Agriculture Department Director. I wanted to go and have introduced over here Abhijit Joshi. Joshi, how are you doing, brother? Where are you from?
Doing well, thanks for having me. I live in
Yes.
Los Angeles, California, but I'm from Chicago.
Oh, nice, nice. So tell us about your background. Did you always live over here, and how old are you?
I am about 30 years young,
Nice.
and I've lived in Chicago for most of my life, and then I came to LA about nearly 3 years ago, uh, and had an opportunity here to do something for work. So I said I would love to come to the Irvine area. So I've been here since. My background has been in healthcare technology. Um, So I've been helping providers and hospitals and insurance companies, payers, and clinical trial companies streamline their management processes around those things,
Oh,
um,
that's beautiful.
adopting software. Yeah.
Nice.
Prior to that, my background is in sports. You know that we play sport together, and also I teach yoga on the side as well.
Nice, man. Yeah, we definitely did play some sports together. Hung out with this guy for like a lot of tours playing for the United States cricket team. And it was truly a privilege and an honor to go and hang out with you at that time. And it's truly a privilege and an honor to go and have you over here talking about mental health. So, as you guys know, we've been doing this every single day for the month of November. We're talking about some kind of mental health, issues about like mental around like men's health and exactly how men have been dealing with things in the past and what can we do to go and help empower each other to go and deal with things in the future in the highest state that we possibly can, right? So, Abhi, I wanted to go and ask you something. Is that obviously you're a man. You're growing up as a man. You relate to being a man. So, talk about one moment in your life that you as a man had to go ahead and do something that really pushed your resilience, and talk about how you overcame it as well.
Hmm. Sure. So maybe we can allude to sports because we play sports together. There's so many times in sports where uh, you know we often drive our experiences, or the performances drive our experiences. So our performances are so important, right, to us when we're playing, at least.
Yes.
Winning, losing. So we want to win and do well all the time. And
Yeah.
when we don't, we feel down. And that's when resilience needs to kick in. So it's for some of us it comes naturally because that's what we've been in an environment where resilience was the only option.
Hmm.
For some of it's not natural because we never had the opportunity to exhibit resilience. So it's not natural for us. So we have to work extra hard for it.
Yeah.
So I was probably the latter, right? So it was harder for me initially to cope with a loss in a game, or maybe my lack of performance or something. Like it could be anything, right? Either or. But the only way out was to show resilience, so you can, or exhibit resilience so you can get out of that, you know, that 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 area of not performing well to perform well and then change. So you can kind of think this is the rock bottom for me. I can't go lower, right? So that is also a big part of being resilient is self-talk. What are you talking to yourself? What do you really believe? If you believe that you're a loser, then you've lost. But if you believe that this is part of my path to success, I'm going to be losing. I need to lose. The more I lose means the more experience I'm gaining.
Boom.
You're going to lose. Ask Michael Jordan, he'll say the same thing. But it's how strong can you come back? So this is what sport has taught me.
That's beautiful. So to talk about like, how if like, you're talking about the environment and how sometimes people's environment kind of influences how resilient they're taught to be. If there's for some people, it just comes naturally. And for others like you had to obviously like work like a little bit harder at it. How big of a factor do you think that the environment determines on how resilient that you are as a person? And does it matter whether you're a male or a female in different environments? For example, like would you think that it would have been harder or easier for you if you were a woman growing up in the United States trying to play for the US cricket team?
Yeah, so your environment does play a huge role. If you are in an environment where you're not you're not presented the opportunity to exhibit resiliency, Resiliency is a word, exhibit resilience, um, then that's an example of how environment can make a person not resilient as an inequality. They'll have to work extra hard to be resilient because they never exhibited those before. They never had the opportunity to.
Mm-hmm.
Got maybe everything handed down to them. They never had, they had their tough times were coded by, or sugar coated, you could say, right? Or coded by things, by parents or by their teachers or something. They never had a chance to really dig deep and say, okay, I'm down, what do I do? Introspect, etc.
Mm-hmm.
It depends how you're brought up. I think nowadays resilience is it's people are talking about it more, so it's good for the kids who are growing up, who are molding. That's why I say kids because they're the ones who are their brains are molding, so it's important on how we are now around them because they are our future.
Without a doubt. I think that, empowering the youth, they're definitely our future. And, teaching them to go ahead and like have resilience up front, because like a lot of times we live in what I call a fast food society, is that we get everything just like kind of delivered to us. Even if we want like a ride, we have that person come and pick us up. And it's instant gratification, even if you want something that usually used to go and take a couple of months to get over to us with Amazon, it just gets here like right away. So a lot of times, like the youth, I believe, are taught like complacency. They're taught that everything can be instantly gratified. So what would your message be to the youth as like someone that's grown up as a man that's obviously went through tremendous chapters of having to go and be resilient yourself? I mean, I remember going through tours with you where you had like 3 or 4 broken fingers, and you just like kept catching, and we used to go and fix the bandages and it was just completely broken and you're catching with like completely hand swollen, but you kept going, and like a lot of the times nowadays with the kids, we're not even allowed to, for example, hit cricket balls to them at a certain age, and now even we get partnered with participation trophies. So do you think that like growing up in an environment like that has impacted the growth of kids? And do you think that that's something that needs to be addressed and changed, in your personal opinion?
Um, I don't know if it should be changed. I'm not sure. Maybe that's just how the natural progression is, but there's pros and cons to being like that. Being generally we always feel when I say we, I'm generalizing, the previous generation had it easier, or sorry, had it harder. So we as a previous generation had it harder. So the future generations, our future generations, have it easier, is what we think. Oh, these guys have it easier. We had it way harder back in the day.
Yeah,
That's
that
generally the
seems to be the
perception.
normal train of
Yeah,
thought, right?
always. Our parents, we look at their parents, we look at their parents, we look at
Yeah.
generations like my brother and younger than his generation. They think the same, and yeah. So, but it's really deeper than that, actually.
Okay. Well, what are your thoughts on it then? What do you think is going to go ahead and help the kids out? Like, if you were to go and pass on a message to the kids,
Mhm.
all the young adults, all the young men that are growing up, maybe they're like, in their, like teenage years, what would your biggest lesson be? That's some lesson that you learned in your childhood that really empowered you.
To be resilient.
Just in general, if you were to go and pass on a message to young men, in
Mm.
terms of your emotional message, whether it's like, work on physiology, whether it's like, hey, don't fall for the first girl, whatever it is.
Mhm. Yeah, there's so many things. I don't know if I can pick one, but one of the things would be uh, you don't have to have an opinion
Okay.
and fit in to A or B.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah, because naturally that's what we do. We want to fit in. We learn, we look, and then we start comprehending the world. We try to we assess, where do I fit in? That's when we start to form our gender identification. All of
Mm,
that. It's very early, but
okay.
even after those formative years, we still try to fit in. Like when we start to go to school,
Yeah.
like how do I fit in? We start to do that naturally. But if you consciously can be taught to just observe that there are hundreds of differences, and you know just see where life takes you, you will fit in regardless somewhere, because people have tendencies, humans have tendencies, so they tend to fall in one bucket or not the other. So that's one thing. That's one of the many things I would say as a kid.
Wow, man, that's really, really powerful. That's really powerful. And I hope that you young men out there, or whatever you guys are when it comes down to it. If you guys are studying, if you guys want to go and like, fit in, if you guys feel the pressures of society, listen to it. Is that you don't have to fit in. You don't have to have those opinions. So those are some beautiful thoughts that you just said. So you specifically, I wanted to go and ask you is, have you felt pressures from society growing up as a man? And if so, can you describe some of those pressures that you experienced?
Yeah, I just want to clarify one thing. So that's telling my telling that to my younger self, because eventually you'll need to form an opinion when you grow older, because you have to operate
Hmm.
the world. Like, so to get things done, to convince people, you'll have to have a set of values which align with a side generally. But
Hmm.
if you initially as a young age, before determining what side you fit in, if you can just learn to observe and just take everything in. If someone told me that when I was young,
Yeah.
I think that would have been, cool perspective to as a foundation. That's all.
Beautiful. Beautiful, brother.
Anyway, can you come back to your new question?
Yeah, so like you growing up and coming up to like being at the age of 30 now, have you felt any society pressures from you, like expectation just because you're a man, and how have you dealt with those kind of pressures, if any?
Um, there are like I don't really have pressures, I would say, to be honest. I
Mm.
can tell you, I can be very clear on my response to this, right? So I understand that other people may different groups of people, depending on what group you're in, because that's how pressure is applied generally in society, at least,
Yeah.
can may have pressure of being, male or female. I see that, and we're very well aware of that. And multicultures, our culture, American culture, I mean, in the Indian culture,
Hmm.
Western European culture. So I kind of get that. For me, uh, I don't have that per se in my life, but small things like I know what are the expectations of me by
Okay.
my family, pre-marriage, for example, post-marriage, what are the expectations of me? They're
Yeah.
like unset expectations that I understand because of culture and society and how um, male and female roles are portrayed in my culture that I've been brought up in, which is
Mm.
a very South Indian culture, but also that culture raised that those values and traditions and cultures raised in the environment of Western culture, whatever you want to call that. Yeah.
So basically, like, growing up in the United States, obviously we have like a lot more freedom in terms of being able to go ahead and express ourselves and go beyond gender roles. So when it comes down to it, would you say that growing up in a place like the United States where we have like a lot more freedom in terms of being able to go and express ourselves way beyond our gender roles, that has definitely helped you be able to go and have less pressure in your life?
I don't know if I'm saying that, but that's could be true. Yeah.
Okay. And like one last thing I wanted to go and ask you, brother, is that if you were to go ahead and pass on one tip to like all men, in all ages of life, from your experience so far, what would your one tip be
To all men.
to all men?
Hmm. To all men. So there are certain. So it's not just to men, but I'll tell men only. Sure. So these gender roles, there are gender roles that are, by society, by heredity, by genes, and by various factors.
Yeah.
But ultimately, in a relationship, whether it's with yourself, with someone else, your partner, your mother, your daughter, your friends, your colleagues, we all have different relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that we're playing our part in our relationship.
Hmm.
That's what's important. So, and that's if you do that, you don't have to worry about equality. Everything takes care of itself. So, for example, if you have a partner, a business partner, make sure that you play your role. Do your part of the contract, your bargain, do extra sometimes so he, he values you, right? Um, Obviously, don't steal, cheat, those kind of things, all those obvious ones. Uh, so if you do that, you don't have to worry about gender roles, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just focusing on how to play For example, if you're stronger in a situation, whether you're a female or a male, go take
Mhm.
care of the situation. If you're smarter, if you're more brainy, or if you're more street smart in a certain situation, that person should take care of that situation. So whatever is appropriate, you should play your role according to the situation in that relationship,
Wow,
not based on if you're, a male or a female or any other gender out there.
that's beautiful. Beautiful. Well put and excellently done. Now, guys, if you guys have any comments, any questions, I want you guys to go and ask us in this interview. This is an interactive thing. We respond to all of the comments on here. We want to go and make sure that everybody feels comfortable. They're able to go and grow from all these experiences. The reason that we're doing this for 30 days is to make sure that we get different inputs, different, people from different backgrounds, people in different parts of life. So we want you guys to go and follow our YouTube channel. If you guys like this video, please go ahead and push that thumbs up, subscribe button as well. And make sure that you guys comment on there. What are some of the things that you guys got from it? If you guys have any questions, make sure you guys ask them on here. But most of all, we want you to share it with at least 3 men, guys. Share with at least 3 men. If you're a woman, share with at least 3 guy friends that you have. Maybe they can go ahead and get something from this because together we are limitless. Once again, guys, it's Gurpreet Singh, and I went on here, Abhijit Joshi. Thank you so much for Mr. Joshi for coming on and giving us this insight as to what your experience has been. Do you have any questions, brother?
No, thank you for having me.
Awesome, man. Any closing comments that you would like to give to the audience out there?
No, nothing at all. Just thank you for having me, Gurpreet, and definitely support him and his team if you believe in his cause, and all the best for your initiatives, and have a wonderful autumn and winter coming up.
Okay, guys, have a beautiful day. Together, we are limitless.